And so today's episode is kind of this timeline. I just gave you what was said in my childhood and how I understood that, to the power of words, how I understand it and put it into my life now. You're listening to the Feed the Soul podcast. We're talking about tackling tough stuff, chasing dreams, and figuring out who we really are. Each episode ends with a word of advice or encouragement, a nugget of inspiration to empower you to dream big and take that leap of faith into the wild adventure of life. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Feed the Soul podcast, or welcome back. Love to have you. I have a question before we start. Do y'all want a name? Like Beyonce has her beehive and, folks just, I don't have groupies. Never mind. Scratch that. Scratch that. Okay. I need to have a disclaimer here for this episode. I want to talk about the power of words, we'll just leave it at that, with the power of words. And I always try to make these episodes light and lighthearted, but then I get just so serious. And so I know this is just a topic that also I'm really passionate about and really love. And that's probably why, when people talk about their passions and what they love, their heart is really singing, and they go on and on. My sister cousin also said, well, actually people have said a lot of times, you give Savion a microphone and, well, good things happen. Of course, that's what they say. Okay, already off on a tangent. The disclaimer is this. I'm not trying to preach to you. And if that would be some of the people who have said, you give Savion a microphone, he's going to preach. But I'm not. I'm really not. I'm giving a little background, and that will make sense too of who I am and where this topic comes from. Like, it stems way back to me growing up, to my childhood. So that the disclaimer is, again, I'm not preaching to you, even though it may sound like it. Okay. I crack myself up. Okay, so let's dive in to this episode on the power of words. So it comes from when I was growing up. My mom would always say that there's power in the words. And I think the scripture may say, it was also in church, that there's power in the tongue, which is just saying that there's power in the words that come out of your mouth, that come off of the tongue. And now, like, I guess they would use it interchangeably. Like, there's power in the tongue, there's power in your words. And, it's just saying there's power in your words just makes more sense, and it's a little easier to understand than there's power in the tongue. Unless I guess you're really good at kissing, then see, different interpretations. Goodness. Okay. But there's power in your words. There would be a time there would be a time where, like, someone would say, like my siblings or I would say, oh my gosh, I'm so sick. My mom would say, if you claim it, if you say you are, because there's power in your words. It's like, okay, sorry, Mom, I don't feel the same. I feel unwell, is what we may say instead. But we typically would flip it, and you're like, right, I feel wonderful. I feel fine. I'm not sick. Would be, I suppose, like the way we'd flip it. So you'd always say what you desired or what you wanted. Going into a test, my mom would be like, okay, let's pray before this test. So that we would say, we are going to get an A on this test. Now I'd say I'm going to win the Powerball and put that out there. But now that I'm grown, what I've understood or come to understand is What's for you is for you. That's also something I grew up hearing. What's for you is for you, and what's for you will come to you. And so me saying I will win the Powerball, even though I was putting power in my words and putting that out there, what's for you is for you, and in the right season. And so today's episode is kind of this timeline. I just gave you what was said in my childhood and how I understood that, to the power of words, how I understand it and put it into my life now. Again, growing up, there's power in your words. Learning to say what you want in life and say what you mean and what you desire and what's on your heart. And I think that's where the power comes from, is when we say things from the heart. Our heart always knows what it wants. And when we speak what we desire for ourselves or for other people, when it's said with truth, when it's said purely, when it's said from the heart, I think that is where the power really comes from and really drives and really puts it into to God's ears, if you will, puts it out into the universe. It puts it to whatever that higher being is for you. One of the things I love about this podcast and about this platform is that you get to have like your aha moments in the moment sometimes. And that's just really cool. As an external processor, I really kind of love that about me, therapizing myself in the moment. Therapizing myself. And so even now, although I do believe that there's power in your words, like, and sure, that's saying, I think for me, I've turned it into manifesting, putting out there. Manifest. Every year for the last at least 5 years, I would do a vision board. And I started this when I was a hall director at the college. I would have my staff and we would every January do these vision boards. And there's different ways that you can do a vision board. One way is on a poster board. Another way you could do it like into a Word document, or if you have a tablet of sort with drawing, that would be really cool. You can put things into that as well. We always did it with poster boards. And I'd bring in magazines, and we'd have just a ton of magazines and snacks. And you go through these magazines and you cut out pictures of things that you want or that you desired. A car, a new house, a job, mountains, the ocean, if that's where you want to live or if that's where you want to travel to. You can also do it with quotes, cutting out quotes or words that speak to you, quotes that you love, or again, that just spoke to you. And same thing you could do on a tablet or on a Word document. You'd find images, words, pictures, things from the internet or whatever, and put it into that Word document or onto that picture of it in your tablet. But like I said, we always did the posters. And typically, I have something in mind. There's something I want or something that I desire that I'm looking for throughout these magazines to cut out and put on my poster. And even when I moved here to Milwaukee, I'd still have a few people over. We'd have snacks and we'd do vision boards together. It's really cute as a way to, see what other folks, have gone on in their lives, and they can tell a little bit about what they are looking for this year. And you can hope or hold each other accountable to that in a way. This year, I didn't have any direction. I didn't know exactly what I wanted. I guess at that time I was, especially January, February, I was pretty lost, I would say. I was again working that weird second shift 2 to 10 p.m. and lost in terms of community and what I wanted to do. It's just a little of things, I suppose. I was just at a weird chapter in my life. And so when I was doing the vision board, I was just cutting out things that looked good. I don't really know what was going through my head when I was doing it. I was just cutting out things though that spoke to me, if you will. And then, so the next step in the process of a vision board would be to then organize your board. Or it might be by colors. So you could do a color scheme. Might be one way that you do it. It could be work, travel, or work and pleasures, family, like categories in your life or what represents you. For me, it's in like categories. Like this category, I remember. So last year's, one category was about food and balance. So I put a word balance on there, and there's different foods: pizza slice, a banana. Um, okay, I just remember those two. Kind of funny. Those are the only two foods that I remember on that board: pizza boards and a pizza slice and a banana. Oh my god, that's funny. But in the middle was food. I had a section that was all about like healing trauma, healing wounds from family or from growing up. There's a massage on there. There was, I think the word breath was on there. And so, and healing. And it flowed into just like blackness and loving that part of me. And there's books written by Black authors. There was uh, just different things on there. I remember that breath or relaxation rolled into yoga and meditating and nature. There's a big picture of a mountain on there. So that's mine, kind of like flowed through these categories in last year's board. This year, I didn't have any direction this year. I had no idea. I was like, these don't make sense to me. They're really random cutouts. But I'm still working on the board, just trying to see how these flow together. And this song came on. We were listening to music, of course, and this song called Purpose came up. And I just started crying, which happens often when I look at it. I'm an emotional guy, okay? But I remember I just started crying as it started to come into play, and it just started to make sense. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I mentioned already, the heart knows what it wants. So while I was thinking from my brain, or I was thinking from my headspace of how does this flow together? There's no theme of colors. There's no theme of categories. How's this supposed to work? And start moving from the heart. And I'm really excited to share the vision board with you. But that's going to be the last episode of the year. Just kind of wrapping it all together, seeing how it all comes to fruition. And of course, walk you through the design of it and how it flows together. Very excited. But a vision board is another way that you can bring power to your words, to get back on topic. Vision boards bring power to your words in terms of visuals. Like if you have a goal, you should write down your goal. You should tell other people your goal just to really put it out there. But you also have people to support you, encourage you, and to help keep you accountable to those goals. And that's what a vision board does. When there's days where you're thinking, what the am I doing with my life? what is going on? What this doesn't make sense to me anymore. You can look at your vision board and go, yes, yep, that's it. I can I'm hustling right now because of what's on the vision board. Those mountains, I need to get there. I need to see them. I got to save up this money. I got to keep grinding. There may be a time where I don't know, a friend of mine just got laid off recently. Hell, I was laid off, and you go, why? What is going on? This doesn't make sense. You can look at that vision board and go, ah, I did want to spend some time with me. Hell, COVID, right? How many of y'all had on your vision boards to spend time with yourself in solitude and in stillness and peace? Who wanted peace in their life in 2020? Isn't that something to think about? How maybe you manifested something for you, like your heart was driving, but maybe there's enough people out there who also want that, but it's not on someone else's board. Okay, that's a whole nother thing. Whoa. Okay, got sidetracked. Back on topic. Vision boards help you keep your eyes on the prize, right? It keeps the eyes on the finish line, especially on those times where you hit that hurdle or you run into that roadblock, or it seems like this mountain is never ending or it's super steep. The vision board helps you keep the drive to keep going. And that's what I love about it. It's a reminder. It helps you set goals for the end of the year. It's beautiful. It can be so pretty. And especially again when you are doing it from the heart. The power of words. I wanted to talk about like the power of words in terms of in talking with other people, responding to other people. I work in customer service. All of my jobs have been in customer service for the most part, or like dealt with people. Teaching. My first job was at McDonald's, drive through window, front counter. What's up, my Golden Arches people? That was a really fun job. It was so fun. It was such a great crew. I mean, the majority of them was my family. So that, that will do it. That will do it. I worked in catering in college. I was a tour guide in college. And yeah, it just always has come back to people. One of the trainings that I've had in customer service or for customer service was how we respond and how we talk to customers, obviously, right? There's TikToks out there about my everyday voice versus my customer service voice. And I thought that was so funny. I thought that was so hilarious because it's so true, right? Our inflection gets a little higher. We get a little bit chipper when we very well may not mean it, but customer service, like it's the psychology of it. This is how the other person's going to respond. But not even just our tone, but the words that we use in customer service is very important too. I've had training that talks about when someone says you're welcome. I mean, when someone says thank you, you respond, you're welcome. Chick-fil-A took it the next level and they use my pleasure. How people respond back to your words. So when they say thank you and you respond, yep, or no problem, or I've heard, yeah, you got it. What does any of that even mean? Thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure. It all like makes a difference. In combination with tone and facial expression and body language. Savion, this is not a lesson on customer service. Back to the topic. Like that's literally how my brain like works a lot. Does anyone else relate to that? I've been thinking about getting checked, y'all. I really have. Because of the conversation that be having up in this head. Okay. The power of words. And that would be one of those moments my mind would say, don't you claim that for your life. All of that to say, how we respond back to people is also how we just talk to people. Love thy neighbor. The power of words. What is it that you want for other people? What else can we give to other people? When we speak with joy, when we speak with love, when we speak with care and kindness, we speak from the heart. This is tasting real good. I think we're working into the dessert piece now. That call to action. Can you be mindful of your words? That means you have to speak with intention. That you have to speak with control. You have to speak with thoughtfulness. I guess in a way that sometimes we're like always speaking and manifesting. Because let's be honest, we're always desiring something and asking something of someone. And a lot that we say. Can we get back to that place where, as Tabitha Brown says, that, you know, we have a good day. And if we can't have a good day, then don't go messing up somebody else's. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That was one that we heard a lot growing up. A next step, like if you don't have anything kind to say, don't say anything at all. We're at a point that the news is reckless. It's just wild that we love watching that. We love watching people have just like shittiness done to them and have bad days. We watch that, but then we want to say the opposite. Like, it's just kind of crazy. It really is. So to wrap this up, with the final sip, speak with intention. Say what you mean to say. Say what you want to say. But make sure that you're doing it intentionally and that there's purpose. Because when you really mean it, it's coming from the heart. Responding versus reacting. Well, I did give that disclaimer at the beginning of this episode. I did. To the world, you may be one person, but to one person, your love, your actions, your peace, and your heart could make you their world. I'll catch you in the next episode of the Feed the Soul podcast. Go in peace.